Very happy to welcome our guest and welcome to SAS Educate, Yulia Diamond. Yulia has worked with Scotiabank for 13 years and recently joined their digital bank subsidiary, Tangerine, as AI enablement lead, where she drives innovation and adoption of artificial intelligence solutions across the organization. With over a decade of experience in data analytics and AI strategy, Yulia has successfully led transformative initiatives that bridge business and technology. She's passionate about building academic industry partnerships to prepare the next generation of data and AI professionals for a rapidly evolving landscape. Yulia, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I thought to kick things off, actually, I would maybe pull back the curtain a little bit on the organization and the setup for this conversation, because initially we had actually had another speaker scheduled. So your colleague, David Cruikshank, he leads the innovation lab at Scotiabank. And we had worked with him a number of months ago on some projects we'll get to in a moment. And unfortunately, David had to withdraw and couldn't participate. And I really thought that it spoke volumes to the view towards innovation in analytics and AI that organizations like Scotiabank and Tangerine have, where these types of things are not happening in a silo. So David was not some guy off in a corner somewhere. So this has really been embraced by leadership. And so to have somebody to just jump right in, we met 48 hours ago, to be able to jump in and take on this presentation, I think is amazing. So can you tell us a little bit about more of your role and how is your organization evolving in terms of AI and analytics technology?
Okay, thanks for the introduction, Brian, and thanks for having me here. And I'm really excited to share my insights about how a finance sector is preparing for the future of analytics. I am AI lead at Tangerine, and my main responsibility is overseeing the overall AI strategy and execution. As Brian mentioned, I've been 13 years with Scotiabank, and over the past few years, I was focusing on driving AI across different business lines. So my role involves identifying AI opportunities where AI can bring a real value and build smart systems for both customers and employees. And in terms of how my organization evolving in terms of analytics technology, we moved from cloud native, from traditional analytics to cloud native AI-enabled ecosystems. What this practically means: 10 years ago, 9 a.m., you are business analyst, you have requests from business users to analyze some trends and KPIs and provide insights. As a SAS developer, as a business analyst, I log into a database. I search across multiple tables to find relevant data, tables, fields. Applying my coding skills, I'm transforming and aggregated data into actionable insights. I export this data into Excel. I build on top visualizations. I export my visualizations into PowerPoint, and I adding comments and presenting it to the user group. So the process might take weeks in the past. So another use case: 6 a.m. you have 100 tabs open, PDFs, Excels, some external websites. You need to go over all of those documents to make a brief summary, an executive summary, get ready for the leadership update at 9 a.m. So that's not the case today. Today, what has changed? We have user interface where business and technical users can interact with, can ask any questions, can interact with your database, can interact with the documents, what the latest trends, KPIs, what's the latest unemployment rate, and whatever you want to have done by your 9 a.m. meeting. It takes now hours or sometimes minutes, depends on the complexity. During those past years, we were preparing our database. We were formatting it in structure our data in the optimized way that LLM models can read and answer our questions with the high level of accuracy. So we, in terms of the difference, like what our organization is doing differently. So I would say all the banks today are following the same roadmap. What is different is the adoption rate of AI literacy and speed and tools. So for example, as for the start, all the organizations today moving to their data into cloud, because this is the foundation where like a critical foundation where you can build AI layer on top of your cloud data. So the cloud providers might be different. It might be Google Cloud, Azure, AWS, but they're all following the same AI strategy. And regarding the adoption rate and speed, so all comes from the top down. If you have leadership support to change the overall culture in the company, so you are moving faster than others. We, as an organization, we invest into training our employees in AI literacy. So we're not just giving the tool, but we also guiding and teaching them how to use AI responsibly, how you can spot a bias, how you can reduce hallucination rate, how you can make sure that your results are accurate. So, and also we are engaged with partners that we already trust, such as Google, Microsoft, and SAS.
That's a great answer. I think you highlighted a little bit just one of the major contributors to the adoption rate being that leadership structure. Do you think that that's maybe the unique, the differentiator for your organization? And now that you're with Tangerine more formally, are you seeing that in transition there as well? Is it the same sort of all in on this innovative mindset within the organization?
Yes, absolutely. And by the way, we have new CEOs for both for Scotiabank and for Tangerine, and they're so supportive, so open-minded, and they're not afraid to break the status quo. That's why our organizations are moving fast with AI adoption.
Yeah. Well, and banks I know are traditionally not always the fastest moving, and most regulated industries are like that. I think we'll get into a little bit of how technology is changing the ways that we can approach problems in just a moment when we talk about some of the engagement you've had with higher education. But just more generally, what have you observed by way of emerging trends in AI and analytics? So maybe not even something that has been part of your purview in your role or at the organization. Just more generally, what are you seeing that's up and coming in that space?
I would say, first of all, it's AI democratization. So we have AI impacted, positively affected every process today, from frontline advisors to software developers. This is the one thing. And if, like, I would say a few years ago when we came into a new team, and as like to identify opportunities, and we were basically helping them to understand what kind of magic AI can do for them. Today it's not the case because they already know, and our goal is just to give them AI tool that they can use to expedite their processes. And it's not just about the productivity gains as it was before. AI today it's a big driver of revenue overall.
So you touched on something there a little bit with people coming into the organization and maybe not needing to give them as much, say, training up front because they can, in a lot of ways, hit the ground running. Is that something that you've seen or that you look for in terms of the trend of like emerging talent? So if you're thinking about what does a successful candidate look like joining Scotiabank, joining Tangerine, what does that look like now? How has it changed? And then maybe we'll think about what that looks like in the future.
Yes, absolutely. It's definitely changed. The AI literacy is the foundation, as Excel was, I would say, 20 years ago.
Still is sometimes. I mean.
Yeah. And to answer that question, I like to share Tony Robbins' vision on that. So what is this, like apart of technical skills, of course, what is this that I'm doing well, like my generation is doing well, and what is it that I want my kids and my kids do well in order to succeed? So it's a recognition of patterns. So because everything around you is a pattern. It's an emotional pattern, finance pattern, political pattern. So once you know how to recognize this pattern, the life around you, it's not chaos anymore. You know if something happens, you know when it starts, you know when it culminates and when it ends. Second skill, it's you should know how to apply those patterns into your life. Time management, finance pattern, emotional patterns, the same, right? And if you want to really become a master of your domain of your interest, you need to know how to create those patterns. So once you have all the three skills developed, you're not the one who is following the task, but you're the one who is writing them. Additionally, my recommendation for not just for graduates, but for everyone would be start today working on your AI personal track. What it means, you study biology, economics, finance, it doesn't really matter. So find a small use case in your domain where AI can bring real value. Measure it like revenue, ROI, manual touches eliminated, like whatever you can. Choose one programming language. I recommend Python. Choose one cloud provider. Such providers such Google or Microsoft, they offering free credits up to I think $300,000 just to experiment and play with their platforms and with the AI features. Choose one LLM API. Choose one open vector database. There's plenty available, such as Pinecone or VV8. And build a small product. Next, share your code repository into GitHub. So in that case, you will have a public profile and your code. So if you're not technical enough, just create small videos, small blog posts on social media, on LinkedIn specifically, with all your achievements or all your challenges, or whatever it is. Next, again, some basic certifications from Google Cloud providers, from Azure and Google specifically, maybe AWS as well. Work on digital badges because it's important, and get ready for the job.
I mean, perfect mention of that, having just wrapped up the session with Matt, talking about the different credentials that we offer, and hopefully the flexibility there as well. So I know that we'll talk a little bit about the Innovation Lab in a moment, but where you're using SAS at Scotiabank, really is to go beyond there just being, say, a one person who's maybe responsible for all of the coding in one particular language, and maybe thinking about branching out into kind of a multi-tool, a platform-based economy for your organization. I'm kind of curious the way that a candidate might look at an organization like yours, where you do have this very forward-thinking and innovative view to the future, but are still within the confines of a heavily regulated industry like finance. Are you still very purposely looking for these forward-thinking candidates, thinking, okay, this will be the next sort of generation of talent that's going to take the next step for innovation?
Yes, we're looking for candidates who are curious, because we can teach skills, but we cannot teach curiosity, right? Additionally, when, like in the era of AI today, we need to, and because of the finance is highly regulated area, we need to work in coexistence with all the major players, like data modeling team, risk management team, security team, data governance team. So, and you need to know how to collaborate with all of them. So regarding the new hires, so we're looking also candidates. The standout candidates would be that they can speak to both to machines and to people. It's a combination of communication skills, technical skills, and storyteller skills.
Yeah, I do love hearing the focus on that, where it's less about the specifics, even the specific syntax of, say, a particular programming language, and more about knowing what your goal is, and maybe knowing what the goals of the organization are, and then from there you should be enabled to, you have this suite of technology at your fingertips to then make that happen. You may have technology like LLMs that can help you with that process. You may kind of have already answered this in a way, but if you're thinking towards the future, 5-10 years out, do you see that candidate profile changing significantly, or do you think it's something like curiosity that will still be the biggest driver?
So the answer will be short. AI is not going to replace people. It will replace those who is not using AI.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. We had a presentation earlier in the week. So for the folks who are on the line and watched the presentation from Ari during the kickoff, a lot of the message that he brings to the table and that SAS does as an organization really is AI as a tool. So I think the same mindset of like the goal is not to replace people, but really it's to augment your work, to make things easier for you, and then help make that innovation a little bit easier for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. And then does it come up much in the role and in terms of, I guess, thinking more about, say, SAS specifically, where SAS does have a major space in regulatory space. So governance, risk, so finance industries, insurance, government. Does that play into it at all as well? Just sort of that notion of a trustworthy partner. And I mean, not specifically SAS, right? The Microsofts out there as well have a big part to play in that.
Yes, like we really value our partnership with SAS Via specifically, because this is a collaborative space, like safe governed space with synthetic data, where data scientists and business users can meet and come from just a prototype and idea to a functional minimum value product within a few weeks instead of months. This platform allows us to experiment with AI techniques, with machine learning algorithms in a safe, governed environment. That's like a synthetic data. It's a key for us. Now, when you want to for example, leadership to buy in your AI concepts, you need some room for experimentation, and this is where we find this SAS Via platform very useful, because you can test your idea before you escalate it for leadership approvals, and it's critical.
And you mentioned previously as well storytelling being a part of it.
Yeah.
How does that factor in? Do you offer training? Is that something you maybe look for in the people that you're involving with something like the Innovation Lab or what you're doing with Via? This is just, I know, not part of our planned conversation necessarily, but storytelling with data comes up a lot, and it's a really critical factor, especially with leadership, and then disseminating these ideas through a large organization. So I'd love some thoughts on how you address that.
I would say it's not something that you can be teach overnight. So it's a lifelong process. So start at school, continue in during your study at university, and when we hire people, we really send them assignments with the mock-up data to build and to tell us the story behind it. So based on their feedbacks and how they tell the story, we can choose the right candidate for us. So it's something that we expecting students or graduates already have.
Okay. So, and I guess with that perfect little segue, I mean, this is an audience of educators. And so is there anything, crucial as part of their experience in the classroom that you think maybe there should be more of an emphasis on? And maybe it is this sort of bringing together these notions of creativity and presentation ability into something we might call data storytelling. Is it a particular tool? Is it a particular mindset? I think about things like design methodology that I think are very useful to organizational design. So from the educator standpoint, what are your thoughts on developing these workforce-ready candidates to join an organization?
Yeah, I would recommend to give the students assignments, hands-on assignments with big data, like with public data. There's so many free public data sets available in any field, in public, in health, in finance, or whatever it is. Have them to experiment with their data in cloud, apply data engineering techniques, because this is how we transform data. It's not just millions of records. Students need to know how to structure the data, how to recognize those patterns in the data, and how to make sense of this data, right? And then, by the way, I wanted to mention the Hack the Case. That's the event which is hosted by Ivy Business School annually. So SAS provided a platform with synthetic data for the students who wanted to participate in that annual Hack the Case event, right?
Yeah, do you want me to give a bit more context?
Okay. Yeah.
Well, and it's funny, we have a conversation tomorrow as well, a presentation specifically about applied learning opportunities, because it's come up not just this week, but throughout the year, this emphasis on giving students experiential learning, give them something that's going to really show what they know, and hopefully be able to put it in front of people who can comment, is this representative of what we're really doing in an organization? So Ivy Hack the Case has been this annual stalwart program. So for the folks of you in the audience who are not in Canada, Ivy Business School is the business school at University of Western Ontario. It's one of the top ranked schools in Canada. And this competition, Hack the Case, annually challenges students in their MSc program. And they're typically working with real data or a real organization. And it's been Scotiabank, to my knowledge, going back probably 8 or 9 years now. And this year represented a major shift in how the competition was approached. Previously, it had been real data, and there are all sorts of hurdles involved with doing that. But part of our generative AI strategy with SAS is not just, say, LLMs. LLMs are, they get all the headlines, of course, but we also look at things like digital twins and then synthetic data. And so for us to be able to work with David and to provide this platform using this synthetic data, they were able to work with what was effectively real data, representative of Scotiabank data, and then present to judges from the organization. So I know you've been involved as the business owner for a few of the projects that have come out of that. So can you maybe tell us, I guess the competition ended in April. We then, or Ivy then had these student teams, the top teams went on to connect with Scotiabank, with Tangerine. Maybe tell us a little bit, kind of segue back into where you were going with the comment initially and where we're at now.
So just to note about the storytelling and skills that you asked before, and when we provided this synthetic data to the students and asked them to bring their fresh idea and whatever they may have in mind and tell the story, and maybe to propose some solution on top of this data. So the judges, David was one of the judges as well. So we were so impressed by the quality those students leveraged. So we couldn't just let it go. And David brought it to the next level this year. So now we, with 6 teams from Business Ivy School, are developing those AI projects and bring them into a real life. The project would start next week.
Yeah, I think it's the end of this month.
Yeah, and the students will get a credit for that project. But from my personal engagement with those students, I see this generation is digitally raised. So you can feel that maybe they don't have required skills, or like not skills, but the experience. But they have so much curiosity, creativity, so that we would love to work with such students. So we as a bank, we give them opportunity to work with enterprise tools such as SAS and other tools as well, so which is approved by Scotia and Tangerine, and give them the real get job ready skills, basically, right? So today we're presenting around 6 AI use cases in Innovation Lab, and all of those use cases for different business lines. We have one use case for fraud department. We have another use case for data engineering and data ingestion. We have some of the use cases for Tangerine, which will be customer facing, and stay tuned. I'm not sharing the secrets now, but by the next year, I hope we will have some updates on our mobile and web applications for Tangerine users.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
I'm one of them, actually, so I'm looking forward
oh,
to
really?
that.
Okay. Yeah, that's...
So we've mentioned the Innovation Lab a couple times, and I know that these projects coming out of Ivy are sort of directly involved with the Innovation Lab, but maybe you could explain a little bit more about what it actually is in the context of Scotiabank.
Yeah, so Innovation Lab is a space for curious teams who comes with innovative AI ideas and projects. So we have a space for each team to showcase their idea, and we have some of the leaders from different business lines coming into the lab each Wednesday, where we are showcasing our ideas and collaborating, and that's the space where we exchanging the ideas and make our projects into scalable across the whole organization.
And so I know that with the way that it's organized and then bringing the students in, it wasn't feasible for them to really have access to the true Innovation Lab. So this is more like Innovation Lab for them in kind of an abstract sense. But I know that the Innovation Lab is specifically, it's the SAS, I can't remember the official title, SAS via Innovation Lab, I think, something like that.
Yes.
But our VIA for Learners platform, which is the one that they've been using, is all of the features are there. And so they're not really losing out on functionality. And this is where we've been able to enable them to do that using the synthetic data, because you now don't have to go through the legal
PI process,
NDAs and all that stuff. So for the folks who are in the audience listening, I really do want to emphasize that when we as an organization talk about something like VIA for Learners and it being representative of organizations and what's happening in the real world, we're not just saying that. So this is an example of where students using that platform are using what is essentially the same platform as a major global bank like Scotiabank. Now I do want to just so I guess call attention to the fact that maybe not every educator or institution necessarily has the capacity to be able to offer an event like Hack the Case, and at that scale, they may not have the connections with industry. Do you have any thoughts or recommendations about how to develop maybe similar or smaller scale experiential learning projects? You mentioned open data, and that came up earlier in the week. Kaggle.com is a great resource for that. Or even thoughts around approaching a potential industry partner. Is there something that, as a representative of an industry partner, you would be really interested in seeing, and then think about how that might work just in terms of their planning?
I would recommend educators to encourage students to participate in hackathons. Right, it might be like I know a SAS hackathon is coming in September.
You're just like
right?
queuing up these talking points. This is not talking at all, but yeah. So that's going to be part of the applied learning presentation tomorrow as well. But yes, so SAS hackathon. I know Scotiabank has a few teams participating.
Yes.
We're going to try to get the students to apply as well. But everybody who's on the line will hear more about hackathon tomorrow. But yes, we do offer our own.
Yes, I know. And I also know like Azure and Google, they're also offering a lot of hackathons, and they're very like open-minded. Make your team and make your, when I suggested to build AI personal stack, it might be part of your hackathon competition, right? Like your use case.
I ran a smaller scale competition back in the kind of the early spring time, and the approach that we took with it was very open-ended. So this was these were students at a university here in Toronto, and very, very different skill levels. And so there wasn't really the opportunity to develop a particularly in-depth case for something like that. And so what we did was it was just open-ended. And what we started with was kind of a general theme. So in this case, it was sports analytics. And the suggestion for them was, find out what you're interested in. So, you know, in the context of the case, you're a new analytics hire at an organization. Mm-hmm. Could be a soccer team, could be an F1 team, whatever. Look at the data, find the data that's interesting to you. I think beginning with that notion of curiosity, I know that a lot of hackathons are a little more structured than that. SAS Hackathon is a bring your own data opportunity. I guess I want to go back to this notion of curiosity. So if you're in a context like a bank where you do have a fairly structured purpose and the strategy, are you seeing more of really wanting to see out of the box thinking? Are you encouraging people to think about processes in like new, novel ways? And is it something like this innovation lab? Is that sort of like a step in promoting that?
Critical thinking, it's a major component, right? Like you cannot evaluate AI outputs if you don't have that skill developed, right? It's very important to understand. And I can tell like the AI skill, which is it's like kind of missing today. Not many people know how to train LLMs, right? Like what I'm saying is like there's a huge general LLMs available today everywhere, right? Gemini, OpenAI, right? Which like, but for the like smaller organizations which don't have such budgets for private clouds from Microsoft, Google clouds as banking do, right? So, for example, health organization, hospitals, or whatever it is. So you need to develop on-premises LLM, which basically part of this huge LLM, right? And you need to create a smaller model which doesn't take a lot of, like it's cost effective, doesn't take a lot of memory in terms of GPU usage. And you need to know how to train it properly and how to evaluate its output. That's the skill of the future.
That's fascinating and an amazing point, because I think you're saying that it really is coming down to the talent. And healthcare is a really good example where you have this obvious and clear need for this type of innovation that is conflicting with budgets, right? Like publicly funded organizations, for example, they're not going to have the kind of capital to be able to fund these.
Budget and privacy, right?
Yeah. And having that talent who can come in with the critical thinking skills and the AI skills can make a big difference.
Yes, absolutely.
I really appreciate that answer. That's really cool. Just going back to the notion of hires that you've had coming into the organization, can you think of anybody who came in like an analytics hire say within Scotiabank, they really had like a notable impact? And if so, why?
I can tell we have so many talented individuals at Scotiabank and in Tangerine as well. And I can tell the candidate who stands out, it like a combination of everything that we discussed today. He's great in pattern recognition. He has a great combination of technical and communication skills. He is a great storyteller, and also he became a trusted advisor across different business lines.
You're talking about David, aren't you?
Definitely.
Well, so I think that this is maybe a good opportunity to go to some questions in the audience. I saw a couple popping up in the chat, so I apologize as I just take a moment to scroll back here. Here we go. So what careers or profiles of graduates do you have in your team? So careers like actuarial science, mathematicians, financial, etc.
So again, it's different for each business lines. There are different roles, right? Like there is more technical, less technical business. Like it's a combination, it's a mix. But as I mentioned before, we need to work in coexistence. So it all depends of your direct role and responsibility. What is it that you need to do? If you need just to summarize all the information, you can use our RAG, we call it RAG technologies, to interact with your documents and give a summary. But if you are a software developer, think critically how you can leverage AI responsibly to make your processes faster, more efficient. And for that, think about the tools that you want to use for your specific role, right? Like it's all like depending on the department and on the role. So if you software developer, for example, you want to leverage some new innovative tool, work with data security, work with data governance team, work with risk management, have their alignment and approval. So, and this is where came to place your ability to talk not only to machines as a software developer, but only to people, communicate your ideas via storytelling, right?
Right. So you're advocating for your ideas, your projects.
Exactly.
How much of that then, when we are talking about security and privacy issues, particularly in a bank, you obviously don't have the freedom to just do whatever you want.
Right? Absolutely, yes.
So how much of the process then is, ideation and creativity and thinking about, okay, here's something we want to do, here's a problem we want to solve, but then maybe having to go back a couple steps and think, maybe we don't have access to one particular tool that would be really effective at this particular thing because it can't fit within our governance strategy. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you experience, that you've had experience with?
Yes, we do have, and we call it enterprise delivery framework. It's a step-by-step process where you need to overcome each step before you can proceed forward. You have the idea, you have the project done, you calculated the cost, you submit that into step 1 to be assessed by that team. So once you have their approval, you go further. So the whole process might take sometimes months.
Right. Well, and hopefully, tools like SAS, again, to be a little bit biased on our side, can help make those things a little bit easier from a platform perspective.
Exactly. This is because this is a room for experimentation. You can prove your idea before you go right up.
That's perfect. I love that. So there's another question here. Do you prefer to use no-code tools? I think Playground was the example given. Via does have a lot of no-code tools involved. I know you kicked off the conversation and mentioned that you are a SAS developer. You've talked about Python being really valuable. I guess, where do you see the role of no-code tools?
No-code tools, I would say it's, if we're talking about Microsoft tech stack, I would mention Power Automate. It's very it's very powerful platform used, I believe, in every bank today, because you need to get familiar with the AI features this platform is offering, a Copilot, right? It's low code. It's custom. It can be customizable as well. From Google, I would mention it's machine learning notebook and agentic space. Google Looker as well. This all like very popular in the banking area space. Google and Microsoft tech stack with low code.
Great. So are there any other? And if anybody wants to come off mute, if they want to put up their camera and say hello. We have another question here. What is a skill that wasn't on anyone's radar 5 years ago, but is now essential for your team?
AI?
Yeah, that's I'm just trying to think, what did AI look like 5 years ago? It was a very different proposition.
Yeah, because the AI, previously AI was like it's basically running machine learning algorithm. It's only been accessible and understandable by data scientists.
Right.
Today, you can be just a front line advisor and you're still using AI, but for different purposes. So ML, it's I didn't mention it before. I think ML, understanding the at least a basics of ML, what is supervised learning versus unsupervised, is critically important for all of the graduates and potential talent. Because once you understand it, you know how to use AI responsibly. Any AI tool, like Copilot, just in our organization, for example, a Copilot is available for everyone. They can attach files, analyze a response, but if you don't know, don't have that knowledge about prompt engineering, how to ask LLM right question, you won't get a correct answer.
Mm-hmm. During the keynote at the beginning of the week, our colleague Ari, his presentation was about generative AI and largely talking about LLMs. And I thought it was fascinating to see the evolution specifically of ChatGPT, where you had GPT-1, where the number of tokens and the amount of training data was X, and then GPT-2 was twice that, and now we've got to this point where it's it's actually, I think the current number of tokens is they don't even know, it's so massive.
Yes. Yes.
And these tools, knowing how to work with them is one thing, but I appreciate your answer previously where you were talking about making sure that you're taking the approach of developing things that work within your context. So if you're developing an LLM and training it, make sure it's Scotiabank, it knows
it's trained
about. Yeah.
And it's trained and fine-tuned on Scotiabank knowledge base.
Right. Yeah. So there's a question here. Maybe you can just share a little bit more about your personal career journey. So, how did you get started with Scotiabank? And then I love this question. How do you stay up to date with your skills, and how do you stay up to date with the latest in all things AI?
Yeah, I joined Scotiabank as SAS developer 13 years ago. And this is a time when I just came to Canada. Previously, I used to work in a bank as well in different country. During my journey, I was taken a lot of. It's it's a life study. You always need to study something else in order to get to be up to date with latest trends. I moved to data engineering team. I got some took some courses to get a cloud certification. I worked on the startup project as a volunteer, and we developed some amazing products, a part of Scotiabank journey for health area. That's why I have some knowledge about health as well. I'm also attending conferences all the time. I'm at least once every 6 months probably. I'm attending some AI conferences just to stay up to date with the latest technologies and trends in AI. And in terms of AI infrastructure in the bank, if you have all all the infrastructure in place today, you need to reassess every 6 months what you already have, because the environment, the AI technology is changing so fast. Another challenge for the organization is how to get your people get up to speed with the same speed as technology is changing, right? That's why during your career, you need to be aware of recent trends. Look, YouTube videos. They for the graduates, and like another recommendation would be taught that there is a lot of AI conferences that are free.
Right. Yeah.
AI thinker community in Toronto. They're offering hands-on sessions, practices, workshops. You can be part of this community as well.
Yeah, that's a really good way to meet like-minded individuals as well. So you're also expanding that network. I'm curious, so you joined Scotiabank as a SAS developer. Was there a particular moment, was there like an aha moment where you saw AI and thought, this is something that really, I'm super interested in this, I need to make this part of my career?
Yeah, this is. It was. I think it was 3 years ago when was it? When we all got familiar with ChatGPT breakthrough.
Oh, okay, yeah, in the last 2-3 years ago or so.
Yeah, so that's the time when I realized, I want to be AI expert, and this is the time when I started. Oh, by the way, ChatGPT was not restricted tool back then, and I initiated a series of training sessions in a bank to train people about what is this and how to use it. So then, because this is we don't have access to a ChatGPT model, that's why it's because of security, it's restricted in bank.
Right.
But they leverage another technology, which is Copilot, because we have a private cloud from Microsoft to run all those tools in a safe environment. And I started teaching how to use Copilot a few years ago. Today, we're not teaching how to use those tools because everyone knows.
And do you find that it's pretty uniform? Like, is the comfort level and the understanding of how these tools work? I mean, have you been pleasantly surprised that everybody kind of, I get this, I see the value here?
Yes, everyone. Yeah. Yes.
Like the positive,
so
but that's
I know, like when you are trying to bring something new in a big organization, it always hard, right? Like because but
this change is hard.
Yes, but with AI, it's not the case.
Okay.
So everyone who hear AI, okay, they're on board already. They would love to. It was so easy to communicate.
This is going to make things easier for me.
Yes, because everyone is interested in AI today.
Right. And has it come up much? We talk about sort of the differences in generative AI, and so LLMs being just kind of one component of it. Synthetic data is now becoming something very, very big. Is it a similar level of interest and comfort with these ideas of synthetic data or other notions of generative AI?
I would say like synthetic data, it's a key enabler to just to leverage your ideas, right? You should tell people what's available and what platform that they can use. And once you give them a right platform, right tool, they're growing exponentially, they're so creative.
We have somebody on the mic. Yes.
Can I, because there's so important information regarding synthetic data, so I just want to put some question. Is it okay?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so because let's say I'm going to put some realistic scenario. Let's say I want to generate synthetic data for kidney failures. So it's relating to health, and I want to generate that data, even though it's synthetic, but it shouldn't be like synthetic that it's not practical. You know what I mean? It needs to be a data which you can work on. So rather than going around and collecting data, so how that synthetic data potentially can generate reliable data? That is the question. Yeah.
Yeah, you should mask all the sensitive information. You should mask, if it's related to like health data, you should mask customer name, right? First of all, customer address, all this PII information that should not be shared with anyone, including a customer age. So you can analyze this data, for example, into a groups. Not analyze, aggregate this data into a groups. Group age from 15 to 20 years old. I have that much records and like whatever like you show, right? So it's all be aggregated data with masking all the sensitive components.
But how did again, the key question is how that data is generated? What is the base of this data, even though it's synthetic? But again, if someone is claiming that it's near realistic, how it's
Yes.
coming? That is the most important element here.
Yeah, so it depends where your data is hosted today. Is it in cloud? Is this on premises? Do you know?
No. Okay, no, that I know. My key element to this question is, please correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that SAS has synthetic data generating tool, right?
Yeah, so this is, there you go, a little bit of a shout out for SAS Data Maker. So yes, we do have a commercial product. I will kind of preempt this. I'll say that at this point, I don't know and can't comment on the potential availability in the academic space. But yes, and so I think anybody who's participating in SAS Hackathon will get the opportunity to use it as well. I believe Scotiabank is pending. We'll be actually using DataMaker at some point. So yes, we do provide a platform for that. And I see Rochelle has just posted in the chat about DataMaker. So that's just one of many tools. The synthetic data that we use for the Ivy Hack the Case competition was actually generated by using a notebook that was developed in-house at Ivy. Some of the stuff that's happening with the upcoming data is being shepherded a little bit through using DataMaker, but there's different tools that can create the synthetic data or create simulated data just based on metadata. And you know the depth to which any of these individual tools will go varies, and there's a lot of different parameters that you can adjust, and all of them will give you some kind of measure at the end of accuracy. And you know, from there it kind of varies, I think, based on the tool, based on how much input you're giving it. But I think if I understand your point correctly, is just making sure that, okay, if you're using this synthetic data and you're generating insights based on it, how are you verifying that it is accurate? How are you verifying it's representative?
Right. Yeah. I think, yeah, you got the point. So then maybe then another follow-up question to both of you. What is the most recognized synthetic data generating tool out there, other than obviously SAS, you know, which I will look into?
SAS Data Maker, obviously. So there, I actually am not as familiar about the suite of synthetic data generators, so I may defer to you on this one. I will note, though, that there's a company called Hazy that was, if you search through SAS RPR stuff, there was an acquisition of this company. And that's gone directly into the development of SAS Data Maker. So if Hazy had ever been on the sort of map for anybody, that's actually now sort of part of the SAS ecosystem. But if you have any thoughts, Yulia, please.
We just we are the one who was providing this synthetic data to SAS, right? And what we did, we just applied our Python and SQL skills to mask this data, to aggregate this data in a format that will be optimized for SAS wire. And there's like a different, I think there's a lot of like training resources that you can apply.
So
like
if I'm sorry,
yeah.
if I'm understanding it right, so what you're saying that you're using your SQL and Python skills, you collected the freely available data, randomized it, and kind of and extracted in a fashion which is kind of ethically shareable with other organizations.
Yes, I can give you like the exact like data sample, I would say. So you have an account number, you have a customer name, you have a birthday, like, and his like a number of products and balances, right? Like if we're talking about finance data. So with and all this data is sitting on Google Cloud. So you using different tools to query this data from the cloud, right? Once you got this data on within your platform or your tool that you use, it doesn't really matter. SQL, dbeaver, Vertex AI, like it doesn't matter. You eliminating the account numbers, you combine together all the customers who has a similar products, who has similar age group, for example, and at the end you have one record for this group of customers, right? So you cannot identify really who is this customer, where he lives. You also, you can aggregate this data by different parameters, by provinces, by cities. So you can like dive into as much details as you want. And this what we call a synthetic data.
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you for the question. Let's see if there was anything. The question here around the work that you're doing, supervised or unsupervised machine learning. Do you have your own AI agents? I think that's sort of been answered a little bit just in some of the tools you have internally, but are there any kind of thoughts around that you want to share or can share?
AI agents, it's the next phase in our journey.
Okay.
So agentic AI, that's again, it's a skill, an infrastructure of the future, and we're still in the process. It's part of our roadmap, but it's not there yet.
Okay. That's what I'll look for in the Tangerine app when it launches. You know, we have all these new AI tools.
No,
in the future.
it's going to be different, but.
Okay. And then I think maybe we have one last question, just sort of around the importance of soft skills and technical skills. We've touched on this, I think, quite a bit throughout the conversation. Where is that balance? Is it fair to even call it a balance, or does it need to be kind of this integrated person? Like you really do need this emphasis on soft skills, it sounds like, right?
I would say you should learn SQL as a foundation, because within a SAS platform, you can use SQL. Okay, that's the key. So now if you want to work with cloud providers, you should learn Python as well. And specifically in Canadian banking, SAS tool, if you're applying for the technical roles, SAS, it's not optional. You have to have that skill.
So you all heard Matt in the previous session talking about all the ways that you can work towards SAS certification. And now you've heard it. SAS is not optional in the banks. I love that. Yulia, thank you so much for joining us. For everybody who's out there, if you have any other questions, please feel free to pass them along to the team. I'm sure Yulia would be happy if I follow up with a couple of questions.
Absolutely.
And we can get back to you. And with that, we're going to close out this day. So we'll be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Rachel, for sharing that. So 11 a.m. tomorrow, we're going to hear actually all about applied learning opportunities. So a little bit of a segue from this conversation. I'll go into a little bit more detail about the Ivy Hack the Case competition and